All right, what's up, Luke? How you doing?
Wonderful. Thanks for having me on today, guys.
Yeah, of course. We're happy to have you. Why don't you kind of update people who are listening? Obviously, it's the start of the episode. Let them know where you're at, what you're up to, and kind of your path of coaching, playing, just your history in volleyball.
Yeah, so I'm currently coaching at your alma mater there, Brandon, at University of Charleston. First time head coaching at NCAA program. So new experience for me at the moment after 10 years coaching professionally in Europe and 5 years with the national team. So yes, new experience for me. Bit of background on me. Before this, I coached professionally I first started off coaching my old school, which was Brandon University in Canada. And then I went, when I was 27, professional, and I coached in Sweden for 2 years, Cyprus for 1. Then I went to Poland as an assistant coach at Yszewski Węgiel. After that year, I went to Berlin and I head coached there in Bundesliga and Champions League. Year after that, I kind of took the year with my wife and I helped coach her team in Italy, and then went back to Poland and I assistant coached first year there, and then took over as head coach the year after. And here I am, stuck in the States. So, and then kind of between those years, I've worked with the national team through the summers, working as an assistant coach to Mark Lebedew, and then kind of this last year was more of an interim head coach position, and kind of in the Asian tournament did like as the Japanese system would be, you sit as the assistant coach, but you still act as the head. So that was, that's me in a nutshell. So, here to answer any questions and shed some light, enrich some minds, blow some minds. We'll see what happens.
I got some questions, so this is great.
Awesome.
All right. So you've coached a ton of places, obviously. So one of the first things that came to mind was, do you see a lot of different, just like team cultures from, from country to country, just like how teams like at different age groups and levels, like what the team chemistry is like across countries?
Yeah, for sure. I think every country definitely has like a lot of background to the kind of the way that they interact as a team, but also as a culture. So, Swedish people are very much, they avoid conflict. So, the first 2 years I was coaching women. That was in itself was very different because I hadn't coached women before. But they wanted to avoid a conflict, so it was very easy to be the alpha male, and then no one was really ever going to push back because, well, first of all, it's female. Second of all, it's they don't want conflict, and it was the same in the club. The board members were just happy to go about their business. You do whatever you want, no problem. Then you go to Cyprus, and I don't know if any of you guys played with any Cypriots or Greeks, but, fiery personalities, love conflict. And, when I went from coaching 2 years of women to men, I was like, great, I'm going to have way less drama. This is going to be perfect. Totally the opposite. I went to Cyprus and it was more drama, because they're very much about, being dramatic, putting on a show. So, again, they're completely different. The team dynamics were good, but it was like, there was a lot of extra stuff involved with them. Poland in itself is really the culture in Poland. Everybody knows each other because they've all played against each other for years. So the respect and like the camaraderie from like not just your own team but to every team is really big. So like when you go to a game, if you go to serve and pass, everyone's giving like high fives. You high five every person in the other team before you even start. And most guys like obviously know each other, so it doesn't matter how big of a star you are or how you 14th guy on the bench. Everybody still gets the same respect. So I thought that was cool. And then Germans, well, Brandon, you're there now, but Germans love rules. So they're all about the rules. So, they're a different breed in themselves. So 100% that, there's definitely different things that you have to navigate when you take over a team or when you're trying to build the culture. Because even as an Australian, I bring in a different way of looking at the game than, an Italian coach or a Serbian coach or something like this. So, it's a good question, but it's definitely something you have to navigate and take into account. And sometimes, if you're going into a new culture, you're not going to really know. You can have some idea, but at the same time, you don't want to stereotype a certain situation.
Yeah.
Very true.
So what I wanted to pick out of that was when you talked about kind of the conflict, and I've heard a lot about you. I've seen you coach and things like that, and I know you're a very intense, fiery coach. And so when it comes to conflict between players, I wanted to know how you handle that, because when I was at Charleston, we had a coach there my sophomore year, Ken Merzak, who he was a very good coach for us. He was kind of a higher level from our freshman year coach. He was not good at all. So he kind of had a better insight. And when he would handle conflict, it was kind of weird the first time he did it. He would let guys like duke it out on the court, not like in terms of playing. Like if they were fighting and screaming at each other on the net, like all the players when it first happened were like looking around like, when's the coach going to step in and cut this off? And he would just let them go after it until they like let it all out. And then he'd be like, all right, are you guys done? Like, let's get back to practice, and would do that. So have you ever like tested with that, or you like shut the shit down right away?
Well, I think there's a problem if you're the coach and that's already happening on your court, because that means you haven't done your job in the whole lead up to the game, right? Your job is to foster social relationships and to make sure that the team's cohesive. So, there's always going to be moments that someone is going to have something up with someone else. For instance, when I was in Berlin, we had a great middle. He was a Serbian guy, and he played on the national team, still does. And, he was a great player, but he was a terrible teammate. And the guys, he was great to have on the court, but the guys didn't want to play for him, didn't want to play with him. So there were multiple times that there was like blow-ups. And at the same time, I'm like, I was at the time when I took over that team, I was 30. So I was still pretty young. But, you kind of got to nip that in the butt for sure. At the same time, like if someone's doing something stupid and someone calls them out, that's also a sense of like, not, you could say leadership, but it's an accountability thing. And I think having the accountability, because anytime a team starts to drive itself in regards to being driven by, internal motivations, I think this is when you can have the strongest team. But you need to make sure that it's not in a negative way. So you don't want guys duking it out in a negative perspective. If a guy's holding someone else accountable and then, that guy's like, all right, yeah, I get it. It can drive them to be better, right? And This is the culture we're trying to, not here, because like guys know that I'll get on their ass regardless. They don't need to hold the other person accountable, but they still do. And they still, we're trying to make have the expectations to be higher. So, you have to create that inside the culture, and, there's always going to be conflict. And I think it's good to have those personal battles because, at the end of the day, although it's a team sport, if I'm hitting against you, Brandon, you want to block me and I want to score against you. So, and it's going to be different things, like if Peter's doing the same, Matt's doing the same, I want to embrace that and I want you to embrace that because I think that can take you to another level. But I don't think, you just want to make sure that it doesn't set you off track and that you start to focus your energy in an incomplete way. But, if the coach, I'm all for conflict as a personal level. Like, I've been in games where I've told Olympians to get fucked through the net, but that's me. I haven't told an NCAA player to get fucked yet, but I probably shouldn't. But
hey, you never know.
It's probably going to happen.
Right place, right time.
It's probably going to happen. Like my first ever college game, I shoved a guy through the net. So was it zebras don't change their stripes.
Yeah.
But look, it's a good question, but you have to have complete control, and you have to make sure that at the end of the day, you're smart enough that you can manipulate situations to get what you want out of that, not just let it go, become a free for all, because then you have no control over your team.
Yeah.
So
I go ahead, Pete.
Oh yeah, I was just going to ask, I guess, since you are now coaching at the college level, do you feel like it's a little bit easier to coach younger guys, I guess, like in the sense that maybe they haven't had all of the success and the accolades, or maybe it doesn't go to their head and they start getting an ego? Or do you find that maybe they're just maybe younger? I guess, how is that looking now that you've coached or started coaching at the collegiate level?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you guys, the first month was extremely difficult. Because you go from a certain level where you're coaching like 3-time Olympian, and then all of a sudden you're coaching a guy that's, maybe 2 years out of high school. And it's different. It's like with professional players, they know what to expect, and that you can expect what they are. And it's just a matter of basically, when you're at the highest level, it's teaching them the systems and how you want to play, And when you're recruiting, you recruit the guys that, at a professional level, that will fit the way that you want and the way that you can execute to be successful. Coming into the team here, I inherited the team from Mike, and it hasn't been hard to teach them. Sorry, that's the wrong way of saying it. It's been a challenge to really expose them to what I see. But the thing is, because they are so young, the learning curve is so fast. So if you have the right guys, like, they will learn super fast. And now we're getting to the stage where, I have to repeat myself. And even today, I punted a ball into the roof because I was pissed that I had to repeat myself. But at the same time, when they execute it, it's a light bulb moment. And when you get light bulb moments as a coach, this is sometimes the greatest part, right? Because you go, oh, okay, it's switched. And, there's guys now on the team that are starting to get more of those moments. And when, like practice yesterday was like super high intensity because, and it wasn't just guys scoring because it was just no one doing the right thing. It was like, guys had to score, but, it was extremely difficult to score because the other team was playing crazy block defense, and then guys were finding different solutions. And so, the elevation of practice got better and better. So, it's been different, and I think different. I've still coached them the exact same way I have a professional team. So I haven't really changed my expectations or anything. Sometimes I've modified a drill or two, but, I still expect the world from them. And I think that the way we can play can get results at this level.
How has their response been to you coming in as a new coach? Obviously, the program's gone through a lot of coaches. When I was there, it was 4 coaches in my 4 years, and Ian Dolo was there for 3 or maybe 4. I think 3. But I know that in general, the response has been pretty good, at least with the classes that I was with. I know Diego Villafane and Lockie Bray and some of those guys, I know that they bust their ass and have a lot of respect for coaches in general. But did you get any pushback from some of the guys when you first got there? Or did everybody kind of like know your level, or what was the respect? Did you have to was there ever a moment where you had to step in and really blow up to kind of straighten them out?
I wouldn't say straighten them out. I blow up every practice, but the straightening out part's never really, I think the blowing up and the straightening out part is more getting them back on their expectations of where we need to be at. And this is a constant thing, but there's been no pushback because, at the end of the day, if you know your shit, other people realize, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about, and the problem is if the other person leaves, if the coach leaves doubt, if the coach is ambiguous, and there's a lot of I don't really know what he's saying, or he hasn't got a vision, or what he's saying is just it doesn't work, then you get pushback. Then you get guys that are constantly asking why. And, there's never been that moment, because every time we do something, there's a reason we're doing it. Every time I tell a guy to do it, there's a reason for doing it. If I'm telling you to stand in that position, I'm telling you to stand there for a reason. And this is where I have to start to remind guys, like, middle of a rally, if it's +4 reception and I tell you to stand here and a guy hits the ball there and you're not standing there, this is why you're meant to be standing there, because this is how the system works. So there hasn't been any pushback, just because I think they understand the level I was at, but also the way that I'm coaching them is that they understand that it all fits together. So, from any coach's perspective, if you have a vision and you can execute your vision, then the players are going to understand what you want and they're going to do it.
Yeah, I feel like it's a little easier said than done. So you must be a master of that, because I mean, maybe I suppose that it does depend on the level as well. So like the lower the level you go down, the more difficult it is for them to see your vision, especially if you're a higher level coach. But yeah, no, I think that's absolutely true. If they can see why you want to do something, then they don't necessarily question it. If there's a purpose behind it, as long as they give it a good try, then it's probably going to benefit them. That's what the coach is there to do, to help you.
And look, I'm all for questions. I like, and there's guys here that will ask questions, and these are the guys that are like more students of the game, right? And they want to learn, and they say, okay, well, why are we doing this? And then if that's not where I'm yelling at guys, because if a guy's asking a question, I'm going to give the answer to what it is. If a guy's asking me a stupid question, I'll tell him that's a stupid question. But these guys are like asking intelligent questions and are wondering like, okay, why are we doing this? And then it's a matter of giving the information, and maybe that information is like one step up from what you've given the group, because this guy has the intellect to be able to understand what you're saying, right? Whereas, you can have a blanket statement for everybody, and if someone wants to continue to delve into it, you can, that's where you can really start to evolve individuals inside the group, because they're able to take more information in and execute it. Whereas there's other individuals, especially at this level, that will be able to take the basics and you can run with the basics, but there's the individuals that you can try to get them to do stuff. Like, we had an open gym where it was 8 guys, and I did some stuff with them that I would never generally do in a team training, but it's like fun stuff that's at the highest level, and they see it and they'll try it and they're like, this is awesome fun, but it's the stuff that's like inside the game. Like, you can only ever do that if you're fully immersed in the game, and it's like a heads up play, like free ball's coming over, guy jumps up, and instead of hitting it, he sets the guy next to him and he hits an overpass. And, we practice that in an open gym. It's only happened once in a practice, because a guy went up, he tried to do it, he set it a little bit too high, the guy fisted it, but they're inside the game. So I can see that their mentality is switched on, and they're going to the next level rather than just being robotic and, out of control. So yeah, it is completely difficult. And, coaching is never easy, but it's just a matter of, sometimes you're just feeling your way through the dark, and, a blind squirrel finds a nut eventually, right?
Absolutely. There's enough practice, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine that drill had to have been like, they must have loved it. It's just sometimes I think like you start practicing every day, whatever, 5 days a week, and you're doing a lot of the same drills or very similar drills. And then all of a sudden the coach comes in and goes, hey, we're going to try this. That had to have been amazing, at least speaking from a player, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And it was like 8 guys, and it was like, it was just on a Monday. It was meant to be a day off. And, I just, if NCAA ever listened to this, I was never there. But, we were just playing around, and I basically did like 4 things with them that are totally outside the realm that any NCAA team would ever do, right? But like you said, they were just like loving it, like lapping it up, because it was just like, fun. It was just totally new, and, not like come in and just pass the ball 5,000 times. So yeah, for sure. Like you said, Pete, like from a player's perspective, they were loving just something new.
So kind of going into your overseas career and just kind of all the different places you've been, obviously with a national team and all the different countries you've been to, what has been like your favorite experience so far during your coaching career? Like, whether kind of both, like in gym and league wise, and then also just country and experience and getting to live there for 9 months.
Well, good question. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things that I've done. but it's like, I got to see the pyramids and go see the Sphinx and stuff when we went and did some friendlies in Egypt. And, you go through your phone and you're just scrolling through, looking, saying, oh, yeah, went to saw the pyramids. That's kind of cool. But like all those small things, even though you're not as a player when you're on a national team, it's like, gym, hotel between. So, you only get like a little bit of time to go see. So there was some cool stuff with the national team, like world championships. We had some pretty epic games that the crowd was on our side and stuff like that. Winning medals with the Polish team was pretty awesome. Probably I think the craziest moment in like playing, and I've actually got a photo on my desk of this one. I don't know if you can see it, but Zenit Kazan game, Champions League. So it was 2 seasons ago. Fifth set against Kazan, and obviously they're powerhouses. We're down 14-9. We sub in a service sub, who's a second opposite. And we ended up coming back and winning 16-14 in the 5th set against Kazan. So, first one, he bombs an ace. We're like, all right, awesome. I'd folded up my clipboard. Clipboard was down. I'm like, great game, guys. We've gone to 5 with Kazan. What a nice try. He bombs an ace. Next one's like a slash reception. We get a kill. Next one was like Engapet hitting like sharp cross. Libero dives one hand, hits his hand, falls in the back corner of their court. Everyone's like, oh, and the whole time Kazan were laughing point by point because they're like, yeah, 14-9, we can't lose from here. And then, we just ended up getting just every point to the point where it's just like, we end up winning it. It was just like craziest comeback. We lose our mind. So probably even that one, like that moment, it was just like, insane. But you don't usually beat Kazan anyway. And then we beat them, ended up beating twice that season. So, being 14-9 against them in such a, Woodco setting, Volvic in the front row, like, their team's stacked. And Mikhailov playing out there, and, we come back and we win. So that was probably a surreal moment. But yeah, I don't know. There's lots of those ones. But yeah, there's been lots of fun games and lots of high intensity moments. Even 2 seasons ago when I came on to be, I was the interim coach as they were going from, they fired Santilli and then they were bringing Kovac. And so I coached 3 games. And the first game we played as an interim coach was against Zaviecha. And their head coach was Mark Lebedew, who was my mentor for like 4 years. And we had lost like 5 in a row. And the amount of emotion and passion in that game, it was like an out of body experience. And we ended up like trouncing them 3-0. I think they got 16 as their highest points. And 2 games later, Mark ended up getting fired. So didn't help his cause, but that was like a super emotional game to be playing him for the first time. And then, it was fun, but this is why we coach and play the sport, right? Because, you have so much emotion invested in it. And when you lose, it's heartbreaking, but when you get these big surreal moments, it's what you kind of live for and why it's so fun.
You guys, okay. I always try to pause because Alexis always reviews our podcast and tells me that I cut Peter off a lot. So I'm trying to be better with my spacing and my timing. But
yeah, you did cut me off. That would have been a great pause before you asked that question, Brandon.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
Sorry.
Being over in the US now, obviously your wife's playing in Germany. She's actually only like an hour and a half from me. Or her setter, Maggie Speaks, was on our show like a year ago.
Okay.
So with the difference between the US and Europe, obviously, is like a lot of cultural things, and the difference in level between Division I NCAA and pro is a big jump. What other comforts have you kind of found as a coach? Because I know that over here in Europe, like especially at the higher clubs, like they rifle through coaches. They're not scared to like cut a contract or sit somebody out, or like I've seen it on my teams where people just come and go. And I know that in general, at least in college, like there's a little bit more security. So is that something you're kind of looking forward to, or is it just like that doesn't really stress you out? It's just like, I'm here to kind of get into the US and start doing college.
Oh yeah, it's definitely like, the last job I was 10-4 and got fired. So, sitting second, you're 10-4 and you get fired because the sponsor has a big night of drinking and messages you at 2 a.m. saying you're done. So, their stories, their stories you don't want to have. So, I knew that coming here, it's like, there's not so much pressure on the win-loss. The only pressure you put on is yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So it's been nice in that regard that there is really no stress involved in this job. So that part's been like good on the old ticker. But at the same time, like someone asked me this the other day, and like it was in a job interview for a national team, and they were like, well, why are you there? And we're discussing it, and I actually said for me, it's actually been a really good moment in my career because, I'm able to, like, I'm a student in the game. I still watch a lot of games. So, it's also been good for me to be able to develop my own ideas. So, like, I know how I want to play the game in regards to a lot of things, but it's also being able to fine tune that and have some additions to that. And, and I can try that with our guys and see how it is in a practice situation or see how it is in a game situation now that we're playing. But it's good to be able to develop that ideology and philosophy as we go. I think that's been really good. And that's part of, I wouldn't be able to do that if I was at the highest level still this season. Because, you're pushing your ideas and you're working on it, but at the same time, you can't say, well, I'm going to take a week to really look at focusing on this and see how that, that adjusts, how it works inside the system I already created. So for that part, I think that's been a luxury in itself. And I keep a, not a dossier, but like a thing of my own ideology. So it's been good to kind of add to that and build off that. Without the win-losses kind of hanging over my head.
Yeah, I can imagine that probably that little bit more room to experiment too is probably a lot more comfortable, kind of like you were saying. When you're over there, how you said you kind of recruit guys to fit a system. It's like when you're recruiting a guy that's a 35-year-old like Olympian middle blocker, like they're obviously going to be extremely good, and most of the time I'm assuming still open to learning, but they're pretty far developed. They're probably not going to make too many drastic changes in their game for a season, especially since obviously they're trying to play for their next contract. When in college you get a guy that can get recruited at 5'11" and then shoot up to 6'6" out of nowhere by a senior year and add 10-15 inches to his vertical. So I'm sure there's a little bit of an excitement and kind of experimenting that you can do with that kind of comfortability.
Show me these freak shows. I'll sign them for sure. Seven. Although Paul Carroll, who is now assistant coach at Pepperdine and played for us in national team, he was exactly that. Like I went through here with juniors and he was a setter, and like I went to the first junior national camp with him and he was like 6 foot, maybe skinny little setter. And then literally went and played him in junior national championships like a year later. And the kid was 6'7". Like he shot up 7 inches in a year, and, he's still setting. And then all of a sudden he went over to Pepperdine and, his career wrote itself. But, he was a freak of nature in regards to shooting up 7 inches. Like I'm still waiting. I've got multiple guys here that are 5'10", and none of them seem to have grown. Must be the Charleston food.
Yeah, you just got to water them.
That's right. I'm not doing the right thing.
Yeah, I don't know how many visits you've taken to the calf at Charleston, but I don't think whatever's in there is too nutritional for athletes.
I might go from 5'10" this way to 6'6" the other way. So, that's the only way I could see it happening.
Become the ball.
So I just wanted to get, I guess, what's been your like first impression now that you've coached, I guess, on just your competition, maybe not so much what's going on with Charleston, but now that you're finally coaching in the NCAAs, like what are your first impressions with the EIVA and just the NCAA environment in general?
Yeah, there's the politically correct answer here, and then there's the answer that I probably yell at my laptop every day. Look, I think the EIVA is actually getting some better teams in it. I think Penn State are really good this year. Obviously, returning all their players, and one of their middles has become one of their better middles. Is last year they run no first tempo. This year they're pumping first tempo. But Penn State are doing good, and Pav's doing a really good job with them. And obviously they're ranked really well, as they should be. NJRT were really good last year, and this year are still chipping away. And Princeton, you never know, because we got them next after this weekend. So they've only won like 1 or 2 games, but also you look at they've went out and played all the teams like Big West, MPSF. So their record can't really dictate to you how good they are. George Mason have been good in the past. Don't know how they're going to be this year. They're struggling in regards to results, but I think at this level, anyone can do anything on the day, right? Because hell, a kid could have had exams all week and then he shows up tired to a game and is average.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't know. I don't even know. Like it's a roulette sometimes, a Russian roulette. Who shows up for me on one day with a kid because I was studying till 3 a.m. yesterday and I didn't eat well today and I got no sleep. Okay, well, you're garbage today. Next day he shows up full of energy and he's amazing. So, it's a matter of becoming consistent and, we're still not there yet. And, I think that it's wide open in regards to EIVA with a bunch. Like, St. Francis has got a couple of wins early and I don't think there's anyone that, Penn State are really good, but I still at the same time, I think if you show up and take care of business on your side of the court, I think that anyone can beat anyone on any given day, to be honest.
I agree. And I think that's, Callaway probably not exactly the same as when we were playing, or at least not for most of my career. But I think it's definitely changed. I think as I was my senior year, it started getting a little bit more competitive for sure. And I think ever since then, it's just a lot of really, really strong kids went to different EIVA schools and they've been definitely getting more competitive. Penn State, by the way, this year they're very good. They've got a very well-rounded team for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's great also just in general for NCAA that there's so many more schools kind of starting up programs. More people will play, which is promising. Does it water down the competition? Maybe, but does it give more opportunities for kids to play at the next level? Yes. And I think this is good just for our sport in general, right? I don't think, women, there's like 1,200 programs, and men, when they first started the programs, it was like, 20 programs. So now they're well past like 50, 60. So I think it's good that there's they're continuing to build it. And I think they're for sure going to have to change the national format here pretty soon just to accommodate the fact that more conferences are starting up and more teams are developing. So, I think it's good to see. I think it's really good to see that sport's expanding and in the country here.
You guys have any big trip planned? Is there a trip this year? Is there like any special place you guys are going to get a little bit more competition out of conference?
Mate, you played in Charleston. Come on, it's like 12-hour drive to New Jersey. That's a trip in itself. So, yeah. Our big trip is to Harvard. Go see the Boston people. So, no, we haven't got no plans for a trip. We were meant to fundraise to maybe go out to California next year, but the guys didn't sell enough stuff, so maybe we stay on the East Coast and do a Toronto trip, play some Canadian teams. But
that would be sick.
Focus right now is just on conference play, really. We missed first 4 games because of COVID, so now it's just trying to get first 6 games, I say, and now it's just a matter of just trying to get the games in from conference. So, trips are good, but at the same time, it's a bit of a what is it? Cool. We went out to California. Okay. Princeton went out to California and lost 6 games or something. So
we talked about Erskine last time we were on here, how they took a trip out to California, got beat up pretty bad, and their coach did some pretty poor scheduling, to say the least.
Well, hey, just to be able to say, we went to California. Yeah, you went to California, played Pepperdine's third string team, lost 3-0. And then, playing like double headers and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even understand when someone puts 2 games in one day. Like, how can athletes be successful if you're playing it's not baseball,
Yeah.
My man.
It's not baseball. Let's be serious. We're here to make kids successful. We're not here to just grind them into the ground and say, oh, we're potentially going to get another win against some bunch of Muppets on the other side of the net,
All right.
What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. I just wanted to take a quick minute to thank our sponsor, East Coast Volleyball. They are currently selling 4-to-4 merch. So if you want to get your very own long sleeve, lightweight, perfect for warming up for any sort of volleyball event or just lounging around, it's awesome. Really, really great shirt, and I like the style too. If you want to get your very own, go check them out online at eastcoastvolleyball.com or on Instagram at ECVCHO.
So picking up where we left off after the little ad break. So I mentioned the Erskine situation, how you said that you kind of pack 2 into one day. It doesn't make sense. And then Erskine, this couple weeks ago or something, when they were in California, they played, I think it was USC in LA. They played Pepperdine first, and they had a home match at 10 a.m. at Pepperdine, lost in 3, and then had a 6 p.m. match in LA against USC at third court. So it wasn't even the same gym. It's the first time in history that a team has played 2 away matches in the same day at different gyms. And yeah, Callaway was not happy about this situation.
Well, I mean, you just nailed it on the head. And I said, as we broke for the intermission, that I just felt so validated, because I got really heated about it. And I kind of almost was like, all right, I'm getting a little too heated about this. But at the same time, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what is your goal over there? Okay. Are we trying to just drill these kids into the ground and make them hate their lives? Or are we trying to get better at volleyball and change a program, turn it around? Like, what is the goal?
Absolutely. I totally agree. Hey, they made history, playing in 2 different places and getting shit kicked in 2 different places in one day. So, they were on the court probably for 45 minutes in the morning. It's like a serve and pass against a bunch of other people. But, at the same time, we had the problem here. So, and I don't know who listens to this, but so we had Mount Olive that was in our schedule, and they were scheduled to come play us on a weekend. And we told them that there was basketball on, so we were going to have to play 7 o'clock and 7 o'clock. We couldn't change the time. And so then they sent us an email back saying, nah, we're not going to come if we have to play at 7, after being committed for 6 months. And I said, well, we can't really change it. There's 2 basketball games before us. We have to play after on the Saturday. And he said, well, we'll play at 7 o'clock on Friday, and we'll play at 10 o'clock on the Saturday. And I said, I'm not subjecting my guys to a 10 a.m. game after playing at 7 p.m. the night before, because this is just going to be an injury waiting to happen, and it's not going to be quality volleyball. It's a waste of time. It's not going to work. I said I can maybe account for a 1 or 2 o'clock, and they were like, nah, it's not going to work. So they're like, we're not coming. I'm just trying to put my team in a situation to play good volleyball, man. I'm not putting guys out on the court to try and get them injured, or to just, what kind of volleyball is going to happen at 10 a.m.?
I just think it is an outdated, archaic thing to have this grit through stuff at this day and age. I think that's just behind us. Within a game and a match, I think that's super important to be able to do that. Especially down the stretch and in playoffs and in big matches. But as far as just overall athlete health, you see it in every major league and in NCAA football, basketball. So why not volleyball too, where we're just making sure to take care of these people so they can have long, healthy careers and play good volleyball. I just don't, see why there's even any discussion against it at this point.
Well, look, that's the difference between older coaches and new coaches. Load management is 70% of the job, right? If I'm load managing a guy, which 60-70% of the time I'm load managing guys now, You got an injury, okay, well, I'll figure out a way to help you get through it and make sure that you're healthy long term. I'm not going to crush you and then all of a sudden you're out for like 3 months, which happens at multiple levels, like you're saying. And I think of these teams that are like, oh yeah, we've only got a certain amount of play dates, so we want to play 30 games, so we're going to play 3 games. All right, mate, like we did this in preseason, but this is preseason. I can play 25 guys and I don't care. Now they're like, I'm going to play my starting 6 and I'm going to do it 3 games in a day. Like, sure, cool. I don't know what you're achieving and why you're even bothering. And it happens in women's volleyball too. They had a tournament here and it was like 4 games in a day. And it was just like, what the hell?
Yeah, their women's team have been doing that since I was there too. And we luckily never did anything like that, but we would see those too, where they'd start at like 8 a.m. and they'd finish at 8, 9 o'clock at night would be the completion of the final match. But like, that's like club and high school kind of stuff. It's kind of insane to me to look back on. It's like, I've gone and done some of the VLA stuff since I've been older, like this past summer, and because obviously the VLA is still trying to get established, it's not a full-time professional league. So they have to kind of pack it into weekends and do it at club events to get more viewing. And that was the first time I have done like 2-3 matches in a day with like a 20-minute warm up. And I'm signed up to do it again this summer with them, but let me tell you what, I hate it. Every time I get done with a weekend there, it's like, I can't remember that I can't believe that people are subjected to that shit.
On concrete and sport court, probably no less.
Exactly.
Yeah, putting a piece of hard plastic over concrete doesn't really help your knees.
No, yeah, it's done me no.
Are you sure about that?
Some people might say that it's amazing. Yeah, sport court will tell you that.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? So it'll only be good.
That's right. For the 2 weeks that you do it.
Yeah,
whatever old man Pete.
Also drains the cartilage in your knees and destroys you when you're 50.
On the line again.
Well, man, Callaway, remember like how shitty we would feel like on like the Saturday match after the like outrigger? It'd be like 3 matches in 3 nights. So it's not even like we weren't even double dutying or anything like that. It was like three matches in 3 nights. Space. By Saturday, my shoulder felt like I was like getting ready to fall off. I would have like ice on, I don't know, like 4 different joints at least.
Yeah.
So, the thing is, they've been doing this at international level. Like VNL was 3 games, 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then fly up Monday to another continent. So, like load management in itself in that was ridiculous. And like, I know like Poland were doing like, all right, if you play this round, you're not playing the next, and alternating weekends. We didn't have that luxury. So it'd be like, all right, well, guys that are playing Friday are probably not going to play on Saturday, and then we got our Paul Libro, Luke Perry playing like every single game. But, after 3 games in 3 days, not just the players, but like, even the coaches are wrecked after that.
It gives you like a whole new appreciation for what they do, man. I mean, they play like pro seasons, come back, they maybe have like a week, maybe 2 off.
Endless, man.
How long ago?
All year round.
Yeah. That's why not many people last. Not many people last the longevity.
Yeah.
Peter, was it your senior year, Peter, when we went out to Hawaii and it got like delayed for whatever reason? Is that your senior year?
I don't know. We got delayed. You talking about like flights and stuff out there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We flew, like half our team went to Houston and then flew straight there. I think the starters did that. Was that your senior year?
I think so, because wasn't there a big blizzard and we had to change our flights?
Yeah.
Where did you play, Matt? Where did you play, Matt?
Where or when?
Where?
Penn State with Peter from 2012 to 2017.
Okay, so both the teeny Lions.
Yes. Yes. And so this trip it was a bad snowstorm, so we weren't even sure if we were going to go. And then we like bus to Pittsburgh 3 hours. I think we all flew to Houston, and then half the team went to California, had like an 8-hour layover there, and then flew to Hawaii. And the rest of us just flew straight to Hawaii. And then we ended up having like an 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. practice in Hawaii, which is like 3 a.m. in the morning in Pennsylvania. And then we played the next night at like 7 p.m. We were just like, I think we went 5. I don't know. Can't remember.
I think we lost
out. Yeah,
I mean,
all I remember from that match was that my first point in, I blocked 7-foot Robert Page, and then Pat said it can only go down from here, and it did.
there was something about like just being in Hawaii. I swear I got like extra energy just because it was like it's just such a cool atmosphere to play in. That Stan Sheriff Center is so amazing, and it's
No,
just,
that's the lack of sleep crack feeling.
maybe that
you
too.
got.
Maybe a little bit
The
combination.
second wind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we're all hallucinating a little bit. We're like, oh, it's amazing. Nah, you're just sleep deprived, bud.
Yeah, the five energy drinks you have to crush just to get through the warm up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter was always twitching, so we weren't sure if it was the energy drinks or what.
ADHD, man.
That's
His body
right,
just
yeah.
naturally produces that.
I was gonna say that's a biological energy drink that's just always coursing through Peter's veins. Speaking of high energy and intensity, actually, this is a pretty good segue. Proud of this one. Luke, so as I said, I watched your guys' first EIVA matches the past weekend. You may know where this is going. I think you do now.
Probably, yeah.
I saw a certain line judge that struggled with vision, and the announcer saw it too. And then I think it was the second night you decided to go share words with him or the down ref pretty intensely, and the assistant coach came in to stop you. I want to get the video because I saw you posted it a little bit. If you don't mind, we would love to have a video, and we'll put it up here for sure for people to see. And I also love for you.
Let me see if I can send it to you right now. But
beautiful.
Mike, yeah, look, like I said, I get pretty fired up in regards to. Let me see if I'll send it to you now.
Yeah,
I get pretty fired up in regards to just like winning. And this guy had made 3 bad calls in a row. Like
he did.
We hit the spot exactly where I told the opposite. Like I'm just always telling my opposite, just swing high and long. Bang, he hit it perfectly. The fact the guy was standing right on the corner, like this isn't women's volleyball. Like give yourself some space to see the ball. And he mucked up a couple of calls. I think the first one I was like mad, and then the second one I got carded because I was telling the ref a bunch of bad words. I said to him, because I'm usually standing right at the baseline at the other end, and I said, they got in the ref space, and I said that was fucking miles in, and he's like, mind your language. And I said, this is fucking bullshit. That's fucking in. And then he said, mind your language. I said, fuck that. I said, that's fucking in. And then I'm like right with the referee here, and then he's turned and said card, and so I got a yellow card for that. But whatever, yellow card.
I just sent it to you guys, by the way.
Yeah,
yellow
means nothing. So that happened. Then the guy called it again, and that's when the video kicked in, and I went from the baseline to the 10-foot line like that. And I even said to my assistant coach after, because he ended up grabbing me, I said, I literally blacked out with fear. Like I literally raged over my face, and like you can see that I'm ready to absolutely murder this guy. And so the assistant pulled me back. And then they called, I think they changed the call. He called it in. So we got that one. Luckily enough that at 22-22 in the second set, he called the right thing because we got a block out that went into the pin. That was really close to the pin was really close to the hand. It was block out into the pin. And he made the right decision at that point, and he stepped up and did it. So thank God he made that. But at the same time, like this guy was, it's probably good that he was like, I'm not close to any linesmen because, I like, that's just how I am. Like, I just get in the moment and I'm trying to fight for every point. But when I saw that video, and I said to my wife, I was like, I don't know if I should post this, but it shows that I care.
Once we messaged to have you on, before you even posted it on your Instagram, I was like, now I got to go back and rewatch the match and find that video, because I was like, I'm gonna bring it up. And then you posted it. I was like, oh, this is even better. But I will say, in the video, that down ref looked scared shitless. He was like hiding behind the pole, and then like he pivoted on the other side.
Probably because it was after I got carded already. So I don't know. But like, and then I put Rage Against the Machine as the song on my Instagram, and it just made myself look like even more of a psycho. So, but whatever. It is what it is. It's all about the heart and passion. So that's why I do it. It's not coming from a bad place. It's just that I just want I want the best for the guys, and I just want us to win. Not about me. It's about us winning. And if the guys do the right stuff, I'm only going to fight for every point.
I'm sure all of us, though, each one of us here has definitely done some stuff that maybe seemed a little over the top, like in the moment. But when you're, like you said, when you're like ready to win and you're battling it out and you're fully invested in it, sometimes you do stuff, you're not thinking clearly. You do stuff based mostly on emotion. I mean, I think we've all been there before.
Fight or flight, it kicks on and you just go for it.
Absolutely.
Oh, I definitely was arrogant at the JV high school girls volleyball tournaments with some of the refs. I'm like, guys, you are arguing calls with me, and this is like me watching like a snail slide across the court. Like, I know what the call is, okay?
Yeah.
They are just like, no. I'm like, yeah, but yeah, like I was infuriated, man. Oh, this guy started deliberately making bad calls and I was like, I'm gonna report this ref, dude. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, I don't know who I need to talk to.
Well, we even had a moment in the game where like the first night they told me, oh, you're not allowed to stand on the sideline. And I said, what? What does that mean? I can stand wherever I want. And then the guy goes, no, you have to stand like where the dotted line ends and like, 10 feet from the court. And I said, that rule went out like 3 years ago. He's like, no, I didn't. Second night, we're the one where I got the video. The guy's like standing there like shooing me. He's like shooing me in the middle of the rally. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? He goes, you're not allowed to stand there. You got to be 10 feet from the sideline. I said, what? He goes, it's an FIVB rule. I said, bro, I've coached at FIVB level for the last 4 years. What are you talking about? He goes, I know you have. Just move back. I was like, you picked the wrong card to play on that discussion there, mate, for sure. Wrong one of using that against me.
Yeah, I think being a ref is just the worst thing ever. So I feel bad for them because at best you're just not fucking up colossally. Like at best, you're gonna make a mistake. Probably it's human error. It's natural, especially in the men's game that's flying by. But yeah, I like. It's hard not to get frustrated at them, but I also feel bad. I just, as long as they have like the admitting that like, yeah, I missed the call, like then I don't get super pissed. I'm like, all right, it's okay. You missed that one. You'll get the next one. It's fine.
Yeah, be humble.
But when they're like, no, I'm like, go die.
Yeah, exactly. Those people are on the power trips and don't want to say.
That's exactly how I feel about it.
My bad. Like, even if I've missed a double and they go, yeah, I'll get the next one or whatever. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Right.
Good job. I'll acknowledge when you make a good call or when you make a bad one.
Right.
And that's when you can appreciate when you actually get a really good referee and you're like, all right, you guys did a bang up job tonight. Well done.
Absolutely.
So. I mean, though it's a lose-lose like job. I mean, being a ref, because in any sport, if a ref ever gets like hit with the ball or like falls, the whole crowd cheers. They like love it. It's just, I feel terrible for refs. It's a lose-lose job.
They're like jesters almost sometimes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's tough. But just a little bit of just, hey, it's okay. You're right. I made the wrong call. You're right. Acknowledgement is all we need.
We're all humans here and on the same level. You don't have to be standing on a chair and be all high and mighty. Just
Right. Let's play ball.
Yeah. So what about Australia national team? Talk about that a little bit. I just kind of path with that, and I guess kind of difference also, like the feeling of what it's like to do it for your home country, because when you're traveling all these different places, it's always great to represent a good team, but is it a little something special with the national team?
Yeah, certainly. Like it's a completely different feel because when you're playing against different countries, it's a completely different world because when you're playing, say, NCAA, everyone here has the same style of play, right? It's American volleyball. But when you go to play international countries, like if I'm playing Friday night against Japan, right, and then who are like ultra defensive, small, dynamic, but totally different style. And then night 2, I'm playing against Russia, who are just bomb serves, pass off the net, hit high balls. And then, third night might be France, who are just doing all sorts of crazy shit. It's very cool to see like different styles of play and at the same time be like coaching against it and, seeing it up close and also working with that kind of level of player and, it's a very, it's a very cool experience. And every day that I was working with the guys, I appreciated it. I don't think you ever get to a point where you're like, I hate my life. You go, this is cool, no matter how hard the work is, because, as hard as being a player, playing those matches and traveling, as a coach, if I'm flying on Monday, if I'm flying from, one trip we did was Canada to Korea, and then it's like a 15, 16 hour time difference. And I get in on Monday night, I have to start preparing the scouting reports for Friday, right? So there's no rest. If you're not at practice, you're on the computer doing scouting. And if you're not doing that, you're planning a weights program. If you're not doing that, you're meeting with a group of guys to watch videos. So, as hard as it is, it's also, great learning experience. And, you become really appreciative of working with guys and basically living with guys for so long. And the national team is definitely, it's tough. Like you guys were saying, going from club to national team and then back to club. But at the same time, the experiences you kind of get with guys and through that process with the staff are certainly, ones that you kind of get to have in your life and value.
So what level has been your favorite to coach? Not necessarily place or, anything, but just like what level? Is it your favorite to coach the absolute peak, or are you really enjoying this college experience as well?
Probably like the best level that I've probably coached, and the one that I've enjoyed the most, was Poland for sure. As much as national team is good, like the Australian national team in the whole scheme of things is not the highest. We're not the highest. We're ranked way low. So, it's always a grind. But, when we were in Poland, it was, first of all, the amount of support that you have in that nation. Like, that's the number one sport, right? So, you're showing up and you got 5,000 people in a packed arena, and it's constant chanting, constant drums. Every game is on TV and watched by millions of people. You got your challenge system. You've got all the guys on the court are super high level. And, sometimes those teams are higher than a national team because you've got like a bunch of different national teams all on the same court together. So, playing at that level and, in a place that is so in love with the sport is something that, you can never really get at a lot of places. You're never going to get those full stadiums, and you're never going to get like, no matter where you go, you're signing autographs, or, that in itself is amazing, just because you're like, you can say, say like you're an NBA player, but you're just like, the sport is loved here. This is awesome.
Absolutely.
This is awesome. So, I think probably, it's a good question. I think that in itself is just, there's just been the best experience personally, for sure.
Yeah, just being surrounded by a deep appreciation for the game would be really cool. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What's that like? Do you guys know? Or?
Yeah, I know.
I'm just kidding. Nah, we've had good fans throughout each place I've played.
Yeah, it's still kind of backhand though, in the US especially, where it's really.
I mean, there's nothing like.
Insanely.
Watching the USA team in Chicago, the Polish just crowd is insane there. It's crazy how many people show up from Poland and Chicago.
Oh, like we went to Iran, not last year, the year before. We were in Iran, and these people are fanatics. And like just the bus rolling up to the stadium, it's like 6+ people deep all the way down the street. And then when you get into the arena, like, warm up starts an hour early, there's already 6,000 people at the warm up. And then, the stadium's probably capacity is 8, and there's probably 10,000 people because they're sitting on the stairs. People are like hanging from the rafters. And then in each section has its own designated like person that's leading the cheer. And so like, this place, like you go to a place like that and it's just like deafening, and it's just like, those people are just like, it's insane how much, and like they are fanatics because, that the weekend before, because I had back-to-back rounds, Poland played there, and I don't know if you guys have seen videos of how Kubiak treats Iranians, but, they're always fighting. And I think there was something that happened in the game and the bus ended up getting held up in the traffic, and then they got mobbed by the Iranian fans, and the Iranian fans were like shaking the bus and like screaming and like smashing the bus with stuff. And so that like these people are like fanatics about their sport. So yeah, like I said, there's fans that when you get these fans around the world that kind of get involved and get excited about it, it's certainly certainly excited.
That's
Or even that reminds me of a story of when I was in Cyprus, coaching Mike Iandolo, who is the coach here. We were playing in the cup final. We were a team that was terrible the year before, not expected to go anywhere. And we got to the cup final and played against the top team. And in Cyprus, they're hooligans basically, and so they have to have them separated on two sides. And we were up in the third set, so we were going to go up 2-1, and we were on a service run. And then all of a sudden, their team start sharing the court with like beer and like throwing stuff, to the point where it's like they had to stop the game because they were like just hurling stuff on the court. I'm standing there like going to the official. Then all of a sudden a live flare comes past my head, lands, explodes on the court. I'm like freaking out, like what the hell? Then they start throwing like trash cans over the thing. Ended up being like a 20 to 30 minute delay before they got it back under control. They had to get us off the court. People like spitting, and it was like insane. Get us back on the court. We ended up losing in 5, but it was just like also another experience. We were just like, I'm never going to live this anywhere else. Like, this is never going to happen to me. Like, there's a literal riot happening in this game. Yeah. And so you go, all right, we lost the game, but at the same time, you're always going to have those stories, right?
I mean, I'm expecting you to say, so we canceled the match. You're like, so we lost in 5. Like a flare was shot on the court. Like,
oh yeah,
whatever.
Live flare.
Hey, take that half a drink beer, dump it on there, and squeegee it off. All right, let's get back out there, boys.
It ended up being like the other team, because of like the situation, ended up like cleaning some of the beer off our court because they felt so bad. It was like, yeah, it was like I said, Cypriot people were just passionate, and it was fiery, but it was a pretty cool experience.
Libero on the other side's like drinking the beers on the court.
Zamboning it off the floor.
Hey, we've all been over there playing in Europe, man. Like, drinking beer right after a practice or game is pretty common, so I don't see why not if they're throwing them on the court.
Free
beer. Yeah, free beer.
I've had a teammate on each team that definitely would be about that.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, we had I was actually talking to Blake Leeson the other day, and he was telling me when he was in Finland that nearing the end of their season, I think they only had 3 games left, and he rolled his ankle really bad, was for sure out for the last 3 matches or whatever. And that they're like GM filled him up like a Gatorade bottle, like one of the just typical ones that are covered that you squirt into your mouth. He filled it up with beer and brought it over to him when he was sitting on the bench with like his leg hoisted up on like a chair.
Start the recovery process.
Yeah, right.
Yes, sir.
That's the way to get it going.
Get those carbs in you.
You guys got anything else?
No, man, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. That's the only that I think I've asked my questions that I had at the beginning of the show.
Pete, you good?
I think this is our first, Luke, I appreciate you coming on. I think this is our first, God has to be our first professional coach. So, I mean, it's awesome getting like insight into both realms. I mean, that's pretty unique. So we really appreciate having you.
Pleasure, guys. It's been good. There was some serious moments. There were some non-serious moments. So.
Good
like I said, nothing was taboo. You could have asked me anything and I would have given you an answer no matter what. Maybe it was bullshit, but some of it would have been good.
Well, maybe in a year or two we'll find something to dig up on you, and we'll get you back on, and we'll try to see if we can stir you up and get you really ripping on here.
Reynolds fired from NCAA coaching.
Yeah.
4 to blame.
Yeah.
No publicity is bad publicity. Let's sign us up. All right.
That's right. It means people are listening, right?
Yeah, exactly. That would be good for us. Huh? That would be great publicity for us. But yeah, kind of what they were saying. We really appreciate you coming on, and have a lot of respect from you, just from Iandolo, Matt West, a couple of the guys I've talked to, and you're a really well-known name around the world and well-known coach for sure across multiple countries. So we appreciate you setting out the time and hope you guys the best at Charleston. I'll be watching and keeping up, and don't forget to enjoy the luscious, amazing West Virginia that you're blessed to be in right now, right?
Beautiful mountains here, my friend. Then the river is incredible.
Yeah,
that's all.
Don't let too much go down the mouth if you're going for a swim, though. You may come out with a third arm or third eye or something.
Maybe that's how those guys will grow the 7 inches that I'm expecting.
Yeah, you got to start tossing them in the river one by one. Do a couple test experiments.
Yeah, well, I might get in trouble for that. It might be too much physical torment. But no, I appreciate you guys having me on, and it's good to shoot the shit with some guys that enjoy the volleyball and passionate about sport. So thanks for having me on, and look forward to hearing if anyone has anything interesting to say about the crap that we've all waffled on about.
Awesome. We appreciate it.